Try to keep me out of it. I didn't want you to have to go back to Frankfurt and we have to go to Louisville. Well, and then Linda. Linda?
I'll go ahead and we'll get started. So thank you all for coming. My name is Linda Bridwell. I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. We appreciate you coming this evening to the public comment period for the proposed Thoroughbred Solar facility. So let me give you just an idea. Okay, Anthony, can you move the slide forward? Okay, so just to give you tonight's agenda, we'll go through, for our presentation, we're going to go through the purpose of the meeting, the introduction for you all to the Public Service Commission and the siting board itself, the process, and then at that point, I will turn it over to Heather Temple, one of our staff attorneys who's in charge of this case, the process for applications to the siting board, the Thoroughbred Solar proposal, conditions of approval that we have seen on other solar projects that have gone through, the process for tonight's meeting, and then at that point we will turn it over to our chairman and commissioner to hear comments from the audience. So with that, let me make sure that I introduce our staff down at the end. Anthony Herod is our IT staff. We are recording the meeting tonight, so if someone is unable to come, you can go to our website, and under the case files, there will be a link where you can go in and see it. Our chairman, Chandler, Ken Chandler, is our chairman of our commission, and he will be presiding over the comment period. Commissioner Mary Pat Regan is also here tonight to listen. They are two members of the siting board who will be hearing the case. As I said, I'm Linda Bridwell and Heather Temple. And then another of our staff member, Tom Warrington, here. So we've got a couple folks from Thoroughbred as well here that will be just to listen. So I want to make sure, Anthony, I want to make sure, because we do get this a little bit on the confusion on the purpose of tonight's meeting. This is a local public comment hearing. So this is an opportunity that the commission offers for in the community, the convenience of being in the community for folks to come out locally and give their comments on the proposal. You will have a set time that the chairman, depending on how many people want to speak tonight, will give you that you're allowed to comment. The commission and the staff will listen to the comments before the proceeding. Representatives of the project developer are here, but they are not making a presentation on the project. And the commission and their staff are not answering questions. This isn't a back and forth. We will try and give you information, but it's an opportunity for you to express your comments. There are some other ways to also express comments on the project if need be. So I just want to make sure that I emphasize that because a lot of times we will get people that come up for the comments and then want to ask questions about the project, and that's not the purpose. Just because of the way we're structured, that we really can't do it that way. So Anthony, if you'll move it forward. I'd like to give you a brief overview about the Kentucky Public Service Commission itself. There are 3 commissioners by statute. We are a quasi-judicial agency, meaning that it does operate a lot like a courtroom rather than a regulatory agency where you come in and there's a lot of back and forth with the permits process. There are approximately 70 employees. There are 4 internal divisions of the Public Service Commission: the inspections branch, which handles gas, electric, water, and sewer inspections of utilities, the legal, the financial analysis, and the general administration. The PSC is attached to the Energy and Environment Cabinet for administrative purposes, but it is a standalone agency. Anthony, you'll move that forward. The PSC regulates utility services. There are 1,100 jurisdictional utilities across the state. Water and sewer utilities, these are small systems. In general, they comprise the bulk of the regulated utilities that we serve or that we regulate. Natural gas distribution systems and intrastate pipelines, not interstate, but intrastate pipelines, transmission lines. Electric utilities, the investor-owned and the jurisdictional cooperatives, and what that means is the electric co-ops that are not purchasing power from the TVA. So if your electric co-op purchases power from the TVA, the Public Service Commission does not regulate their rates or service. There are a small number of telephone co-ops that we still regulate, but in general, the telecommunications industry has not been regulated by the Public Service Commission for some time. Two things that we do not regulate are municipal utilities, except for gas service, and that's just in the gas pipeline safety. And then the cooperatives served by the TVA, as I mentioned. So the PSC regulatory responsibilities include if there is a rate increase or reduction, the construction and operation of utility services and the facilities, how you get your service, meter accuracy. This is a big thing, obviously. How much you pay is based on how much you consume. The operational conditions, and that includes safety. We have frequent reporting over safety issues. The natural gas and coal purchasing prices, which is the last couple of years has obviously been an important factor across the state. The issuance or assumption of securities, meaning basically if a utility wants to go out and borrow money for any reason, they need to come get authorization from the Public Service Commission first. Consumer complaints, we have a branch that you can call in at any time if you have a problem with your utility, and hopefully it's one of the jurisdictional utilities if you're calling us. The first thing they will ask is, have you talked to the utility first? But you can register a complaint and go through a complaint process. It starts informal and then goes through a formal process. And then the compliance with the service and safety regulations. So, Anthony, if you'll move it, today's key terms that I really want to make sure everyone is understanding is the megawatt, which is how much electricity is that's the part that's being produced by a facility. That's the term they use, the megawatts. 1 megawatt can power about 750 homes. So a merchant generator is someone who is a facility is generating power, but is not owned by the utility itself. So obviously that's part of what we're talking about tonight. Industrial revenue bonds can sometimes be an economic factor as part of the terms that we're talking about. Decommissioning, which is returning the land back to its original condition, regardless of the depth, except for major moved earthen roads. And then we refer to the siting board. It's actually the Kentucky State Board on Electric Generation and Transmission Siting. And they are responsible under statute for determining whether or not it's appropriate for facilities to be sited. So, Anthony. Let me give you a brief overview of the siting board itself. It was created by the Kentucky General Assembly in 2002. It has not changed significantly since it was created. It reviews applications and grants certificates if approved for the construction of electric generation greater than 10 megawatts. So, and transmission lines from entities not regulated by the Public Service Commission. Why that is important, we do not regulate someone who may have a small personal use solar facility, anything under 10 megawatts. We review for siting board for solar cases. We're reviewing focuses on factors such as noise, visual impacts, economic impacts, and potential impact on the transmission lines themselves. The operations of the siting board, meaning all of the consulting studies, any external legal fees, any permitting fees, that is all funded by the applicants. It is not an additional tax on the resources. And a new siting board is essentially created for each new project. So in the last 3 years, I think we're up to 35 applications that have all been solar facilities. Essentially, a new siting board has been created for each new project. So the next slide, the generating facilities reviewed by the siting board sell their power back into the wholesale market. They may have a specific, they are not necessarily selling it to a utility, it's looking at the wholesale market, but it usually is within a territory that that transmission point is going to affect the utility in that area. The siting board approval is required for all merchant plants with a generating capacity over 10 megawatts and for non-regulated transmission lines capable of carrying 69 volts or more. So, Anthony? There are 7 members of each siting board case. So the 3 commissioners from the Public Service Commission, which right now we only have 2, we have a vacant spot, but the 3 commissioners of the Public Service Commission, the secretary of the Energy and Environment Cabinet or their designee, the secretary of the Cabinet for Economic Development or their designee, and then 2 ad hoc members that are local to the community where the siting board is proposing the project. It is ordinarily a judge executive or a planning and zoning, and then 1 additional member. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Heather and let her talk a little bit about the siting board process itself, and then I'll get back with you all on the process for tonight's meeting.
You can do the next one. So after an application is filed, part of what is included in that application is the site assessment report.
Can you utilize the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry. So part of what goes into the application for these projects is a site assessment report. That's where a lot of the information about the project. So, sorry. Again, part of the application that is submitted is report. That includes a lot of the information about the surrounding properties and the property that the project is proposed to be on. So the site assessment report does include a lot of the information about the surrounding land uses, the legal boundaries of the properties that are going to be part of the project, any proposed access to the project, all of the things that are going to be built on the site. So where the panels will be, where the transmission lines will be, where the substation will be, and anything else that is going to be contained on the site. That also includes roads that may be built to access the property internally and externally, and then any utilities that are serving there, and a statement about what they hope the siting board will go with their setbacks. So how far away the project components have to be from anyone else. And then an evaluation of the noise that would be during construction of the project, and then when the project becomes operational. Anthony, if you could go ahead. One more. So the statutes also list the criteria that the siting board uses to evaluate these applications that are filed. Again, it's kind of the same things that are in that site assessment report. What the project's impact will be on the surrounding land, the surrounding community, anticipated noise levels during construction and operation, the economic impact on the region and the state. So that's like how much money is going to be brought in during construction through jobs, purchases, taxes, setbacks requirements, the impact of the additional load on the utilities that the Public Service Commission does regulate, and any mitigation measures, so anything to help kind of alleviate some of the bad factors that could come along with the facility, and then whether or not the applicant has good environmental compliance. Anthony? And so since we have had a lot of these cases finished now, a lot of the mitigation measures that are imposed by the siting board at the end of the case have kind of carried over through various projects. One of the things that the siting board typically requires is some kind of vegetation plantings. So that can vary from project to project on how that's done, but it usually does have to be native plants to the area, so it can, go along with the native surroundings and limit the view of the project from the roads or surrounding area. Typically, for noise and for traffic, there are limits on when construction can happen on the site. Of course, that varies on what type of construction is going to be done, but typically it's normal working hours that the siting board likes to impose. Also, a big requirement is that the project developers work with the county or the city if it's located within a city and make sure all of the roads surrounding the property have been taken care of and have been upkept during the construction. So if there was any damage from large trucks or whatever during construction, those have to be fixed and the roads have to be returned to their original condition. Another thing that the siting board has required in all of their orders is a decommissioning plan. So how at the end of the useful life of the project, it will be taken down and the land will be restored to its use before the project started. And there will also be, along with that decommissioning, a bond filed with the county for the entire life of the project to ensure that at any point, if the project ceases operations, that decommissioning can be done. So on this case, this is Thoroughbred Solar. The notice of intent that an application was going to be filed was on May 2nd of 2022. The application and the site assessment report were filed on October 10th of 2022. And all of the siting board cases and decisions are made within 180 days of when the application is filed. It has the case number with the siting board of 2022-115. This is a proposed 50 megawatt property on a 530 acre site here in Hart County, made up of different parcels of land from different landowners. Public notice that the application was being filed was on October the 4th, and there were public meetings in the county on April 27th. There were also, from their application, a lot of public outreach and public meetings with different boards within the county before that as well. The formal hearing in this case is at 9 a.m. on February 21st, so about a month from now. At the start of that hearing, there will be an opportunity for members of the public to give statements about the project, and those can also be made in writing and sent to the Public Service Commission's email address, which is on here, or it can be mailed in. Case-related comments submitted online or while a case is being processed do become part of the case record, and so they would be up on the case page. And then tonight's meeting, Linda touched on this a little bit. People can come forward and make their statement about the project. There will be a time limit for how long your statement can be. The siting board members that are here cannot answer questions. Representatives from Thoroughbred Solar are here and they will hear the information or questions that you might have during your statements, and they can choose to respond to those in different ways throughout the proceedings, through testimony at the hearing, through other filings. And again, anytime that anyone wishes to make a written comment, those can be submitted to the Public Service Commission's website.
So any questions about how the process is going to go tonight?
I have a question. Does the siting board decision have to be unanimous?
No, it just has to be a majority. So, any other questions that we can answer about the process or what's going on tonight? Okay, so with that, do we have a sign-in sheet of the position?
You know, I assumed Anthony had that.
Okay.
I do not believe he did. I don't know if he did. That's usual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, then with this, I'm going to turn it over to the chair.
Can you all hear me okay? At no point in my entire life has anybody ever said they can't hear me, so I assumed it wasn't going to start tonight. So thank you all very much for being here. My name is Kent Chandler. I'm chairman of the Kentucky Public Service Commission, and as part of that job, I also serve as chairman of the Kentucky The Kentucky State Board on Electric Generation and Transmission Siting. You all can appreciate by the name that we just like to call it the Siting Board, because after doing this for 3 years, I still can't remember the long title. So again, I appreciate you all being here. This meeting, just to remind everybody, is being recorded for the benefit of the record in the proceeding, and as well as for the benefit of the other Siting Board members that could not be here tonight, so that if you are able or interested in making comments, that they are part of the record, that they can review those comments and they can take them under consideration in making their decision in this case as well. I'm joined tonight by Commissioner Mary Pat Regan, who's also, by virtue of being a commissioner on the Public Service Commission, also serves on the Kentucky Siting Board. The other members of the Siting Board for this case, like Linda said, we don't have a third commissioner at the Public Service Commission at this time. So the remaining members are Robert Sims, Luke Avery, Deputy Secretary of the Energy and Environment Cabinet, John Lyons, and an advisor to the Cabinet for Economic Development, Sidney Montgomery. Both of those last two serve as proxies for the secretaries, which are defined under the statute as being members of the siting boards. We're here today for the exclusive purpose of taking comments in the application of Thoroughbred Solar to construct an approximately 50 megawatt alternating current solar electric generating facility here in Hart County. To reiterate the point that was made during the overview, the role and obligation of the siting board is to review applications and grant certificates, if approved, for the construction of electric generating facilities greater than 10 megawatts and transmission lines proposed by entities not regulated by the Public Service Commission. We understand that in any case proceeding proposing the construction of such a facility, that there may be strong feelings and opinions. I ask that as you provide your comments today, you be respectful and mindful of the time limit for each speaker. We are here to listen. Parties in this case will have an opportunity to make their case during the pendency of the matter. Tonight's meeting is not about them. This is an opportunity for members of the community in which the solar project is proposed to be built to state their positions, concerns, and provide the siting board comments for its consideration. Again, the siting board is here to listen. During today's comment sessions, we will not be answering questions. The siting board is the fact finder and decision maker in this case, similar to a judge, and as such is unable to comment or speak to the process or substance of the pending application. Nevertheless, questions that you raise during your comments may be of assistance to the siting board and its staff in adjudicating this case. If you have questions for the applicant, you can ask them during this public meeting, during your time, with the anticipation that they can later convey a response to you outside of this public meeting. Contact information for the applicant can be received by contacting the Public Service Commission. We're happy to give you their contact information, including their phone numbers and email addresses. And we can give you contact information for the Public Service Commission later. Can I just ask, since we didn't have a sign-in sheet and it's hard to tell how many people are interested in talking without the sign-in sheet, if just by raising your hand, if the number of folks indicated in providing comments tonight could just let me know. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so about 10. So what we'll do is, given the number of folks that are interested in providing public comments, we'll limit each comment to 8 minutes. I think that's pretty fair. If y'all want to take 80 minutes, that's fine. We're here till we finish. So we came down here for this sole purpose, so take your time in providing comments and please don't feel rushed. But given that we'll be limiting those comments to 8 minutes, as you're making your comment, I hope that you just watch me for a little bit, because when you have 1 minute remaining, I'll just raise my, they call it a pencil, but it's a stick. I'll raise my stick here to let you know that you have a minute remaining, and once you hit 8 minutes, I'll let you know that we're going to turn you off and go on to the next individual. As always, written comments can be made to the siting board at any time during consideration of the case, and must include your name, address, and reference the case number. And just so that everybody has, I know it's on a lot of this different stuff, but the case number in this case is case number 2022-00115. So if you file a written public comment, please put the case number on it. Otherwise, we won't know what case to put your comment in, so it can't be taken under consideration. You can also mail your comments to the Public Service Commission. We can provide the mailing address for the Public Service Commission at the end of this hearing. And then you can also email them to the Public Service Commission. Again, we ask name, address, and case number, but the email address to send that to is just psc.comment@ky.gov. Similar to filing written comments, I'd ask tonight that when you provide your comment that you let us know your name, your address prior to making your comments or asking or explaining your concerns. A couple things just to let everybody know before. Since we didn't have a sign-in sheet, I'll just ask folks, you all kind of saw each other who's interested. If somebody comes up, I'd ask that you just stay seated until that person's done and the next person comes up. I don't want anybody having to stand up and wait in line. I promise you not being in line when the first person starts, you're still going to get an opportunity to speak. I just want to make sure everybody's able to rest on their backside instead of their feet when they're waiting for other folks. I also want to let everybody know that the presentation tonight, like Linda said, is being recorded. It's being recorded and it will be placed on the Public Service Commission website and is also placed on YouTube for full transparency. The presentation tonight as well will be on our website. So I saw a couple of folks taking pictures. Just know that you didn't miss your opportunity to get that information, that all of that will be available within, well, probably by Friday on our website. And again, we can give you information on where to find that. It was also mentioned that you're able to provide public comments prior to the hearing that we have in this case on February 21st. There's two ways that you can provide those public comments. You can either provide them in person at the Public Service Commission. The hearing begins at 9 a.m. Eastern. Again, we can provide you the address for the Public Service Commission if you or anyone you know is interested in providing comments in person. You can also sign up to provide comments remotely prior to the start of that hearing. The hearing is on the 21st, which means that by 9 a.m. on the 20th, on the very front page of our website, the first thing you'll see when you pull it up is information on how to contact the PSC to sign up to provide those comments. We'll give you all the information you need, and then you just show up the next morning, call in, and you'll be able to provide your comments that way. And then finally, if you see myself or Commissioner Regan writing tonight or looking down while you're making your comments, we're not ignoring you, we're not paying attention. We're just making notes for ourselves so frankly, so we don't have to rewatch the video. I can just go back to my notes. But don't think that we're not listening or not paying attention. We're just taking notes for our own benefit as to the different comments that you've made or what we find interesting about your comments. So at this point, we'll start the public comment session. Again, 8 minutes, and I'll raise my pencil after 7 minutes. Just ask that anybody that's interested, come on up to the microphone. Is it already turned on? Okay. Come on up to the microphone and again, introduce yourself with your name and your address, and then I'll start your comments I'll start the timer whenever you all start your comments. So whoever is first, come on up.
My name is Paul Hawkins. I live at 7925 Cub Run Highway, Munfordville, Kentucky. I've been a resident of Hart County for 66 years. I have a BS degree in agriculture from Western Kentucky University. I have a master's degree in education from Western Kentucky University. I'm a retired former business owner in Munfordville. And for the past 30 years, I have represented Hart County and the membership of Farmers RECC on our local electric distribution cooperative, on their board of directors, where I presently serve as board chair. I am a former director with 10 years experience and a past board chairman with 5 years experience at East Kentucky Power Cooperative, which is one of the G&Ts that supplies electricity to rural Kentuckians. I also have served as a board member and treasurer of ACES Power Marketing in Carmel, Indiana, and this company assists G&Ts across the United States marketing their power in the current power markets. I'd like to begin by what we know and why we are here. Leeward Energy and Thoroughbred Solar LLC is wanting to locate and develop a 50 megawatt solar facility in rural Hart County, and will lease about 530 acres of prime farmland from 3 landowners at an estimated cost of about $318,000 per year. I know that Thoroughbred Solar filed a motion with the PSC on December the 5th, 2022, to keep confidential certain information concerning the lease prices being offered and paid to the 3 landowners. However, adjacent landowners who denied the attempt to lease their land for this project were offered $600 per acre per year on a 30-year lease once the project gained approval. A much smaller amount was offered as a placeholder until and if the project gets approved. One of the reasons that I think Leeward Energy and Thoroughbred Solar chose this location is because of the access to a 345 kV transmission line owned by East Kentucky Power, which crosses the property that is in question. East Kentucky Power has membership in the PJM power market, and this will allow the solar company the ability to sell the electricity that is generated at this site into the PJM power market. According to documents filed by Thoroughbred Solar, they have not secured a purchase power agreement with anyone yet. East Kentucky Power will be paid for the transmission access by Thoroughbred Solar. However, there will be no direct benefit to the end-use consumers in Hart County due to the nature of the power being produced. Farmers RECC has an all requirements power purchase agreement with East Kentucky Power and cannot purchase the output of this location even if they wanted to. The Public Service Commission granted East Kentucky Power approval to join the PJM market about 10 years ago to offer price stability to the end user. In the event one of the base load assets at East Kentucky Power is down for repairs or not functioning properly, the company can buy power from the market. If the cost of market power is less than what East Kentucky can generate it for, they can also buy power from the market. The only other GNT in the state that is linked to a power market is Big Rivers, which delivers power in the MISO market. LGE, KU, TVA, and Kentucky Power are not in power markets and would require a predetermined price purchase power agreement. Therefore, this is another reason I think that Leeward Energy chose this location. If they could have obtained a PPA from another entity, perhaps another location would have been chosen. Another reason Hart County was chosen, in my opinion, is because there is no zoning in the county to have to deal with. Our neighboring county to the north has a planning and zoning commission and has denied 2 solar projects in their county in the last 2 years. On January 19th, 2022, Hardin Solar LLC, a community energy subsidiary, was denied a permit for an 868-acre project near Cecilia. On June 15th, 2021, the Planning and Zoning Commission denied a conditional use permit for 1,072 acres to Rouge Creek Solar LLC and IBV Energy Partners LLC. Some of the reasons given why the permits were denied were as follows. Number 1, the solar company will not be around for the life of the project because these deals are bought and sold to maximize the profits for the developing entity. The valuation of adjacent homeowners and farm owners' land will greatly be reduced. Prime farmland will be taken out of production. The beauty of the county would be irreversibly damaged. Drinking water and underground streams would be affected by the erosion, and wildlife habitat would be affected by the fencing barriers, heat, and noise from these facilities. Westbridge Renewable Energy Corporation states in a blog dated September 25th, 2021, and this is their comment: living next to a solar farm may have some downsides, including local habitat disruption, reduce farmland in poor views, and potential electromagnetic waves from solar batteries. Hardin County has said no twice in the last 2 years to similar projects. Because we have no planning and zoning commission, Thoroughbred Solar only has to meet the setback requirement offered by KRS Statute 278.706 2E, which establishes that all proposed structures or facilities used for the production of electricity be 2,000 feet from any residential neighborhood. Is that all? I'm not going to get there. However, they cannot meet the requirements in this statute and have filed a motion for a deviation from the setback requirement. I would ask the siting board to consider the welfare of all the citizens of Hart County and not just the 3 people who this will benefit. Thoroughbred Solar has tried to buy the support of the citizens of Hart County by making significant donations to the Imagination Library Program, the Hart County Fair Board, the Hart County Cattlemen's Association, the Hart County Historical Society. This money was spent to quiet the opposition to this project in Hart County. You can view the Facebook page that was established last April by Thoroughbred Solar and see everything they have spent money for is touted with a Thoroughbred Solar tagline. Thank you, sir. I asked the siting board to look at the comments made by concerned citizens on Thoroughbred Solar's Facebook page. Most Hart County citizens can see through the smokescreen that has been deployed by Thoroughbred Solar on social media. A few of the comments made about the post were, and I quote, much more expensive and depends on the weather. Sounds like something the government would set up. Rolling blackouts, here we come. Another said, I don't support solar when it takes over farmland in good growing regions. States with good rainfall and good land should be growing food. Another comment, no thanks. It will be a huge eyesore on both sides of the road, and we will reap no benefits and most likely lower our property values.
I see, Mr. Hawkins, you got quite a bit left. I'd ask, we've gone well over your time, but I will give you an opportunity if you would like, if you will provide those comments to our staff attorney, we'll include them as public comments so the entirety of your information is in the record.
I will do so.
All right, thank you.
I want to make one more.
You can finish reading his if you like at the beginning of yours.
I want to make one more comment.
Well, please make it quick.
I just attended a conference in Lexington that was sponsored by the National Cooperative Finance Corporation in conjunction with Kentucky Association of Electric Cooperatives and East Kentucky Power. All of you in this room remember the news that happened around December 23rd and 24th about the possibility of rolling blackouts in our area due to the demand for electricity in our area. Some areas of the state had to implement rolling blackouts. Winter Storm Elliott reminded everyone how important it is to have baseload electric generation available. During these 2 days, the demand for electricity was the highest for Farmers RECC and East Kentucky.
As I mentioned in the comments, we got to be respectful of everybody else's time.
I want to finish one statement. Let me just finish this statement.
Sir, Mr. Hawkins, you've gone on for over 10 minutes. No, it's not all right. You've had an opportunity. I told you early, I gave you a warning. If you'd like to provide it to somebody else to finish it, that's fine. But as I mentioned, we've got to be respectful of everybody's time and give everybody 8 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night.
Let me ask one more question. If I stay to the end,
you can provide it to somebody else, and we'll take your comments into the record. I mean, they'll be part of the record if you'd like to file that actual document. They'll be part of the record. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hawkins. All right. Who else would like to provide comments? Whoever else is next. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind using the microphone? Otherwise, it won't be recorded if you're not close to the microphone. I'm sorry.
Well, I have no written plan, and I am not originally from Hart County. I'm an import.
Do you mind to restate your name? Just so
My
that
name is Marcia Finley. I live at 3015 L&N Turnpike, right across from the old Buffalo Yard. And I am an import. I moved here in January of 2017 with my mother because she insisted on finding a place where she could raise chickens. She didn't live long enough to raise chickens, but I decided to stay because I have a beautiful little piece of property that is a Kentucky farm, even at 1.45 acres. My intention is to start a medicinal herb farm. I am here as a retired I'm a retired Army major. I have a bachelor's in general study from the University of Idaho. I have 2 farming grandparents' families, and farming is in my blood. The last time that I farmed was in 1973 through 76, where I owned part interest in a 3,000-acre, 3,000-head cattle ranch in Idaho. And I'm in support of this particular project because in living in 17 states over my military career, I have seen change come in many different forms, particularly in my own life. But I'm also a certified permaculture designer, and I'm on the board of directors of the Great Rivers and Lakes Permaculture Institute, which proposes that any land use be multiple layered. The land that we're speaking of right now, as I understand, is just now coming out of CREP. So that if you say it's decreasing agricultural use, that's not really true because it hasn't been used for agriculture. And Thoroughbred has the opportunity at this point in time to establish the premier solar grazing site in the state of Kentucky. There is not one anywhere near us, although there are 4 or 5 between here and Indianapolis pilot projects. So, since their panels are going to be located about 8 feet above ground, there's plenty of growing room and grazing room underneath, particularly for our local Katahdin sheep farmers, and we have many within the county. Additionally, if you look around the edge, one of the problems with any fenced area is maintaining the fence row all around the outside edge. There are some farmers in Austria that discovered that both sheep and goats will graze medicinal herbs and self-medicate. And if you use that fence row to plant appropriate shrubs and herbs, then it's self-maintaining and would support another crop, a bee farm. All right, so let's say you have sheep and bees. What else might you need, huh? You might need some livestock guardian dogs, which would be another possible crop. So looking at a project like this up front in the design phase, saying, can we as a county benefit from it? Who would benefit from it? Sure, Thoroughbred Solar would, because they're the developer. By the same token, we, if we use our imagination, can benefit. And I'm an import, but I live in Hart County. I spend my retirement and my Social Security in Hart County. I'm staying in Hart County, and I hope to be a part of this project, and hope to invest myself in it, so that we, as a community, can do something else. We have a large Amish community that has been independent because they're solar for a long time. That is, each individual household is independent. They're not tied into the grid. We can use our God-given solar energy to create a project that will feed into the web and will benefit all of Kentucky, not only our local communities, so that we can become more united as a group in our agriculture, our solar, and our community heart. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. All right. Whoever else would like to provide their public comments here tonight? Go ahead, just remind you to mention your name and address and then take your time whenever you'd like to provide, and whenever you start, I'll start the clock.
All right, sir. My name is Mick Lawler. I was born and raised in this county. I've been a farmer all my life. I've been a real estate broker and auctioneer for the past 46 years, and I sit on a bank board for several years here in this county. I reside at 295 Johns Lane in Hart County. I was raised on a 456-acre farm my daddy owned and on Green River. So nobody in this room tonight knows any more about Green River than I think I do. And I was been very fortunate that I got to grow up like I did on the river, hunting and fishing. We had several miles of river frontage on Green River. Our farm laid in a horseshoe bend. And I remember when I was a young boy in the mid-50s to late 50s, they had an oil field up here in our neighboring Greene County, east of us. They let oil and chemicals get in the river. And I can still see today the bad sight about our fish, our crawfish, everything coming down the river bellied up. Killed everything in it. Where they have proposed this site is in a very highly karst area. We're sitting on sinkholes. Like I said, I was raised on 456 acres. I own 314 acres, about a mile west of the southbound rest area. And I presently own 197 acres at where they have proposed part of this solar. You fill up sinkholes every year, and it's other farmers in this room here can verify this. The existing ones get bigger, and you have them to fall in new every year. As a matter of fact, I filled up 4 just this fall. I was back there, my backfield just last week, had 2 more coming. I have pulled farm machinery out of sinkholes. I have pulled many a calf out of sinkholes. And we're sitting in a karst area where we're going to pollute our river again. And I hate to see that coming. And everything I'm saying, I can back it up here tonight. The Green River is one of the most biodiverse rivers in the country. It is home to more than 150 fish species, more than 70 mussel species, and 42 endemic species existing nowhere else in the world. Species include 9 endangered mussel species, 1 endangered fish, and 1 endangered freshwater shrimp. Since 1999, the Nature Conservancy has worked hard to preserve back in the buying land on the river, to putting in the crab and protect our water streams. There's 9,230 square miles of watershed in this central Kentucky. And this gives lives to more species or plants and animals than any other Ohio River tributary. This is a 135-mile stretch which flows from Green River Reservoir down through Mammoth Cave National Park. Harbors one of the most diversified species of fish and freshwater mussels in the United States. And like Paul quoted, they've been down here throwing out a bunch of money in this county, and they want something in return for it, or they won't be down here doing it. And I just wonder if they're going to be down here next year doing it, and the year after, and the year after. This all sounds good right now, but it's just 3 families going to benefit from this, and it's going to be a burden on many to come when this thing's got to be cleaned up. This county's going to be under a burden for many a generation. I won't see it have to be cleaned up, but the kids and the grandkids will, and somebody's going to have to pay for that. You know, on cloudy days, those solar panels aren't producing nothing. At night, they're not producing nothing. And you know, they'll come in here, they do get this thing permitted, which I hope they don't. They gonna leave them here and they gonna sell this thing as soon as they can and leave out of here with a pocket full of money and going on down the road. I understand that these panels are very likely to cause fires. We got volunteer fire departments in this county. We don't have no professional fire departments, but I respect everyone, lady, men and women that's on our volunteer fire departments. I respect those. And they sure don't have no training in putting out a solar farm. I don't know what kind of chemicals it would take to put one out. And if they're going to be spilling oil, I don't know how this rotation's going to work, if it's electric, hydraulic, or what. But we're going to have sinkholes to fall in when I don't know what the weight will be on a square acre of land. But it's not going, this country's not going to take it. It's just not going to take it. It's not going to stand. You're going to have them falling in. You're going to have them catching on fire. And then what they're putting them out with is going in the sinkholes. It's going to end up in our river. And part of it is right in a quarter of a mile of Green River. I printed off of Fox News, November the 15th, 2022. Solar farms in Alabama, Idaho, Illinois ordered to pay a total of $1.3 million for environmental violations. Then here's one from Virginia, published January the 19th, 2023. I pulled off from Fox News. Virginia residents reject massive solar farm plan for third time over environmental concerns.
One more minute.
And this is put out, sponsored by the Hart County Chamber. It's got a picture of Horse Cave and the cave system. And it says right here, where else can you pet a kangaroo, walk a trail through the longest cave system in the world? That's what they put out here. That's all can go by. And I ask you all to consider all of this before you make your decision. And I ask that you not permit it. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Waller. I just, same thing that I mentioned to Mr. Hawkins. If there are those particular stories or whatever it may be that you'd like to, I know you mentioned them in your comments, and that's fine if you're content with that. But if you would like them included as part of your public comment, we can scan those and put those on the record. If you'll just provide those to our folks over here after everybody.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else would like to provide public comment tonight? Please. Just remind you to mention your name, your address, and then whenever you'd like to start, I'll start the clock.
Okay. Can you hear me all right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Sam Avery. I've lived in Hart County for 50 years in the Millerstown area. The address is 795 Port Wooden Road, that's P-O-R-T, capital W-O-O-D-E-N, in Upton. But that's the Hart County part of the Upton area. I was vice chairman of the Hart County Planning Commission many years ago that met in this room. But I've spent many years being a solar installer, so I know what solar can do. Do you people realize that the average house, if it has good solar orientation, can produce all of its energy, all of it, including refrigeration, lighting, heating and cooling, even transportation? Solar energy is falling on the ground everywhere around us. All we have to do is pick it up and use it. We don't have to burn anything to make electricity. It's coming out of the sky for free. And this is why I am in favor of solar energy and in favor of this particular project. But in a way, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter if I'm in favor of solar or opposed to it or not sure what it really means. It doesn't matter because it's going to happen anyway. Solar is on its way. It's going to happen. It's going to happen here. If we use any kind of electricity at all in the coming years, it's going to be solar or some other form of renewable energy. Now, I like to think that sunshine is energy from heaven. And the reason I like to think that is that I think it's a major purpose of our life here on this earth to preserve and to protect what has been created and given to us in trust for our care. That's why I'm here tonight. And I think this project will help that goal. Now, there are a few things that I'm a little concerned about with this project. One of them is that it's true that some of these solar panels are made out of some rare earth elements. But now I've been around these panels for years and years, and I've never seen any adverse effect from that. They're encased in aluminum and glass. I've never seen a fire caused by a solar panel. And if I did, if there ever was, is what I mean, if there ever was a fire, I would like that fire to be out in the middle of a pasture somewhere on a ground-mounted solar panel and not on a rooftop. But I put thousands of rooftop panels in and never had a fire. That's not a problem that I have ever seen. The other concern I would have would be land use. 500 acres, that's a lot of ground. And we should be concerned before we allocate that much land for this kind of project. And in fact, a lot of opponents to solar energy call this type of project industrial solar. And there's a reason for that, because in scale, it is industrial scale. This is going to be a big operation. It's going to produce enough power for about 5,000 homes. About enough power for the entire county, Hart County, uses in household electrical use. So that's a lot of power. It is industrial scale. But the reason that opponents use that term is they want you to think of the average industrial development with smokestacks, lots of traffic, air pollution, noise, and generally speaking, the kind of environment that nobody would like to live around. Solar has none of these problems. And the thing that really puts it over the top for me, as far as this land use question is the decommissioning bonds that are required. Now, decommissioning bond means that the developer of this installation has to pay for decommissioning. That is, he has to pay for taking this installation apart before he ever begins putting it together. Now, that's something I've never heard of Walmart paying for, or a subdivision paying for, or a power plant. If they're going to build it, they don't have to unbuild what they built. They don't have to pay for it. And part of that decommissioning means that that land has to be restored to its original value, restored to its original use. So that 35 years from now, that's a long time, but it's going to come and go. And there are reasons I don't have time here to explain why I think it's not going to have to be put in solar panels for longer than 35 years. There's a reason for that. But I think that we in Hart County should go ahead and approve this project and allow 500 acres of Hart County land to be used for 35 years for the sake of solar energy. I think that's the future of Hart County. It's the future of Kentucky. It's the future of the United States. And it's the future of the world. And I want to be part of that future. I want Hart County to be part of that future. So yes, please approve this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Avery. All right, those are first four. Is there anybody else that would like to provide public comment? Please.
Yeah, my name's Harold Cottrell, and I live here in Mumfordville on 600 West Center Street. And a lot of people know me from around here, growing up in Hart County on the farm, milking cows and raising tobacco. And I went off to go get educated and get a degree in mathematics. And most people think I did that so I wouldn't have to come back and farm. And inadvertently that happened. So, but anyway, growing up in Hart County, I wandered these woods all over the place. My dad used to take me out ginseng digging, fox hunting. One of my favorite things to do was go to this fresh water coming out of the ground to have a drink. It's a wonderful thing to have happen. And after I'd left home in the 70s, the stream started becoming more and more polluted because of sinkholes. And there was this huge project in Hart County to clean up the sinkholes and clean up the groundwater, or the water that comes out of the springs. So anyway, it was, I was happy to see that take place. And I went for years not sticking my head in a spring and drinking, but I'm back to it now and I'm happy about that. The reason I'm saying all this is we do care about the cleanliness of our water, and we do care about the cleanliness of our air in Hart County, and I think a lot of people do. And I think for all of those people that are concerned about polluting the water, need to talk to all the people in Mumfordville that still have septic tanks. Nobody polices it. They say they put chemicals in it to kill things, but who knows whether they do or not. It doesn't get policed. So please, whoever's concerned, put some attention there. I also, as a mathematician, I research everything. We've got about 400 square miles in Hart County, an acres of 640 square miles. So we're talking about 1 out of 400 acres, whatever percentage that is, a low number of acres that this project is talking about. And like Sam was saying earlier, the sun comes down on us. When too much of it comes down, we try to cool ourselves down. When not enough of it comes down, we try to heat ourselves up. And we're heating ourselves up with coal-produced electricity. We're heating ourselves up with gas and whatever. And we cool ourselves down with the same thing. And here's this sun that's causing the problem to begin with. Why don't we use it to solve the problem? It makes sense to me. You know, it's heating us up, it's not heating us up. And anyway, we can use the solar power for that. Granted, this is just going into the grid. To put it another way, we're putting more, with their projection, we're putting more power into the grid than what we would consume in Hart County. To give up 1 square mile out of 400 square miles for that purpose is, I think it makes sense. It serves us well. The other thing is, I researched the company. Yeah, they've got venture capital funds behind them. It's not venture capital, it's equity management funds. Works the same way. Eventually the people putting the money in are going to want their money out. And at that point, it's going to have to be equitable for whoever buys them out. I understand that. What are we giving up for them to come here and provide this sun coming out of the sky, heating up some solar panels, turning into electricity and moving on. What does it really cost us in the long run? Not a lot. They have been, so far, you know, they've tried to be a community people. I've talked to their PR people, everybody in the company, and yeah, they want to be good citizens for Hart County. Now, obviously, they're here to make money. You know, they wouldn't be spending millions of dollars to get into this business otherwise. But we're all capitalists, and that's just the nature of the capitalistic system. We can say, now we don't want you coming in here making money off the sun that we're just letting heat us up and cool us down. So anyway, one of the things in arguments of mathematics, you talk about the two extremes. It's called the argument of ridiculous. It's ridiculous this way, it's ridiculous this way. The solution's somewhere in the middle. So anyway, that's, I think that's pretty much about all I have to say. About the cars. The other thing I researched is I went down to Horse Cave and I met with the people there, the hydrologists, the whatever, and talked about the cars technology because I was concerned about it. And actually the water that comes through Horse Cave actually goes underneath this proposed land and it goes to the Green River. It's emptied in. We also have, well, I shouldn't speak on this, but the sewage system, the way it flows and everything, there's something going on with that, but I don't understand yet. Anyway, when I talked to them and they looked at the project, looked at what the project was going to do, the amount of pollutants that's going into the soil and everything else, and these are the people that would be worried the most. They said, we don't have a problem. I don't see that possibly could cause a problem. And, you know, maybe when you all try to have the thing up in February, you might want to bring that topic up if that's because, you know, I'm hearing it from the cave people that should be the ones worried about it. And they say they're not. And so get some hydrologists in here and take a look at it and see what you think. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great. Anyone else would like to provide a public comment? Please.
Hi, I'm Beverly Berger. I live at L&N Turnpike Road in Horse Cave. My husband and I moved here to Hart County 8 years ago from Louisville. We got tired of living in the city, the pollution, the crime, it was a mess. It was time to move. So I did some research, and my research led me to Hart County, and we purchased a 1810 home that had been an old stagecoach stop and the tavern. Well, we understand that the solar panel farm is going to be right across the street from our house. That's one of the locations. And that worries me because of the runoff, which I agree with Mr. Lawler, it's going to be bad for the environment. I believe there will be chemicals that leach into our waters. It will flow to the Green River, which is now coming back from our life in the river dying. There've been, I think people that study mussels are called mucologists or something, but they've worked long and hard to get the mussels back in the river where they can thrive because they're becoming extinct. And another thing I'm concerned about is property values. I mean, who would want to buy a house that looks over a solar farm? I wouldn't. I don't think I would have bought that house if I'd known that this was coming down the pike. And everyone says that solar is good for the environment, but in some ways it is good, but in other ways, I think of the chemicals leaching and flowing into the Green River, one of the most diverse rivers in the world, and Mammoth Cave system, that concerns me a lot. I think we should be growing food on our land and not trying to pollute our rivers and streams and tributaries. and also our property values. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Nancy Gibbons, and I live at 3086 Bunnell Crossing Road. So I live fairly close to where the project's going to be put in place. I worked for 20 years at Western Kentucky University and for a period of time in sustainability programs development. I also worked for a short period of time in solar installation, so I have some experience with it. Even further back than working at the university, I worked on energy issues, renewable energy and energy efficiency issues when I lived in DC. I think it's really important to understand that the question we have to ask is, how do we get our energy? We are not doing without energy. Energy needs are large in the United States. They're growing. There's a lot we can do through energy efficiency, et cetera, but we have to ask the question, how are we going to get our energy? And at this point in time, Kentucky has made the determination to get most of its energy from fossil fuels, from coal and gas. Now, the people that are concerned about polluting our waterways, which is a grave concern to me, one of the beauties of Kentucky is the number of waterways, beautiful waterways it has. Fossil fuels is the most damaging, and solar is a solution to that. Solar gets us away from the heavy pollution of our waterways. I tend to think in very global terms. It's hard for me to think in a strictly localized way, because we can see that our consumption of energy that's happening in our local areas, in our state, in our country, and in the world is impacting all of us through climate change. We see more extreme weather, we see more flooding, more droughts, more superstorms, tornadoes, etc. And all of these have heavy, heavy costs. And for us to continue to be primarily working with fossil fuels to provide our energy is to further this trend. It's become very imperative that we really need to focus on energy efficiency, cutting our energy use without cutting the results of our energy use. That is, there are many ways to be able to provide the same outputs using less energy. So we have to really focus on energy efficiency, and we really have to focus on shifting away from the fossil fuels that are polluting our waterways and polluting our air, so that we can continue to provide prosperity for our citizens in the future and in the face of these really big challenges that we are facing. I recently took a trip to Europe, and it was amazing to me. Everywhere you look, there were solar panels. It's like in this country, we don't see a lot of solar, and so it's kind of a foreign entity to us. But in other parts of the world, it's become a very familiar entity. Let's see, what other points would I like to make? I really appreciate the importance of not tying up agricultural land with energy production. I feel that we are in a critical time that we really, like in Kentucky, we still get less than 1% of our energy from solar. We are in a critical time where we have to really ramp up our transition away from fossil fuels. That will include solar, that will include energy efficiency, that will include geothermal, that will include, but we really have to focus on how are we going to provide our energy needs, shifting away from fossil fuels. And so I see this solar plant really as a transitional to help to ramp up that process so we can see what's happening. Ultimately, I would like to see solar panels put on the rooftops of the big mega plants that are going in Glendale and on parking lots and even on roadways. And they're developing systems where solar panels are actually built into windows. And I think down the road, that's all going to be, all those options are going to be much more available. So I see this as a transitional plant that's helping us to move away from fossil fuels. And the fact that you built in the decommissioning of the plant in 35 years, I see that as a wonderful advantage of this plant, because we are not absolutely taking the land out of the potential for agricultural production, which as our population continues to grow in the world, agricultural production will continue to be, additional agricultural production will be needed. Although, again, technology is helping us to address that issue because they're developing, for example, vertical agricultural solutions and other solutions. So you don't need as much land to grow more food. So anyway, I see this as a positive step for Hart County to take. I think it's an important, one other aspect is many of the large multinationals, Kentucky has been very successful recently in attracting businesses into Kentucky and also in Hart County, or at least in neighboring counties. And one of the things is the access to energy. But many of the multinational corporations, for example, are now requiring that all of their energy be produced through 100% renewable energy. So by making renewable energy available in the state, that will continue to help us to attract new industries into the state. So those are just some of my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Hi, my name is Tracy Gardner. I live at 1129 Ellen Turnpike Road, Horse Cave. We are participating landowners in this project. The decision to lease to Leeward came down the way this project would benefit not only our immediate family, but our next generations. We've always wanted to pass the farm down to our children and grandchildren, and this project will enable us to do that. Farming is a challenging occupation, and turning a profit continues to be difficult. Solar energy is like a new cash crop for us, with guaranteed return. No drought, flood, hail, storm, or disease can reduce the yield of the life of this project. We respect the opinions of others regarding technology. If it's not a good fit for you or your farm, then that's absolutely the right you have to choose. Our decision to do this was about keeping the farm in our family. This opportunity ensures that our dreams will come true. This land has been a source of our family's livelihood for generations. We think that others look at this property and forget that. We would never try to stop anyone else from using their land to become more financially secure, and we appreciate the same treatment. And thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
My name is Mike England. I live at 1631 Hardyville Road, Munfordville. I have a degree in agriculture from Western Kentucky University. I've been involved in agriculture in this county all of my life. We own a farm that is adjacent to this property that's being proposed. And the landowners, some of the landowners in this application, and Tracy just made that very point. I'm a very firm believer in property owner rights. And they're good friends of mine. I am very concerned that this 530 acre project, as I understand, is going to have about 350 acres of it covered with solar panels. Well, that's in effect a roof over 350 acres. That water has to go somewhere. I've got property downstream or downhill from part of this. We fight, like Mr. Lawler says, we fight sinkholes constantly. And the more runoff you've got, the more problems you have with sinkholes. And there's no rhyme or reason, and I know they have hydrologists and all this, but I've seen them on top of hills and down in bottoms, and I've had tractors, we've had to get records to pick the tractors up out of them because you didn't see them till they fell in out from under you. It's that serious. The fact that we're using 530 acres of productive cropland in this county, and I know that's a very small percentage of the land in this county. And that's easy to say that it's insignificant when you're not living next door to it. I'm a firm believer in solar energy. We have a 150 cow beef cow herd. We raise about 1,100 acres of row crops. And at some point, this country is going to have to decide if they need lights on or if they need food on the table. Now, I can make that decision, and I can do without one or the other. But I know which one I would do without. Now, I try to utilize sunlight the best we can, and if a corn crop or a grass crop or an alfalfa crop, whatever. I'm a production agriculture person, and I believe in trying to raise crops to feed this country. And I take it seriously, try to do it safely. And I also believe in property owner rights. Now, I'm not, but that's my concern. I wish y'all certainly consider all of what's being said here tonight, because everybody's done it in earnest and in their good faith in what they had to say. I appreciate your time.
Howdy. Tony Gardner, 1129 L&N Turnpike. Tracy, my wife, done spoke. I just felt like I want to get up here and give my 2 cents to it. I hear a lot about sinkholes and erosion. I feel like, and I'm not no expert, but I feel like when we do planting crops and stuff like that, that a seeded field with grass in it is better than planting corn and doing that kind of thing. So I'm not no expert. I know Leeward got up here and spoke a lot, told how big the company was. I seen the contract. I seen the numbers. They didn't just roll in here and whip stuff out of their back pocket and say, this is good. They did their homework. They've got EPA. They've looked at it. They've done soil samples. I don't know what else people want. I hear people get up here and say, I think, well, it might do this. It's the future. It's what's coming. Whether it be here, whether it be somewhere else. I heard one gentleman talk about the power. I know that farmers, well, let me back that up. I know that KU was asking people if they would be interested in buying some of the power. that it was something coming along. So to say that Hart County is not going to reap it, I don't think was a fair statement. And that's just me. You know, I'm a small guy. I'm just a farmer, and we still gonna farm. This is just an opportunity for us to even grow bigger and better. I got 2 kids, grandkids, and we're planning on staying. It's an opportunity for us that we never thought of. Leeward spending money should be a good thing for Hart County. People saying that they're paying them off. What would you have said if they didn't spend no money? Crooks. It don't make sense to me. I hope they make money. If they make money, I make money. If they make money, you make money. Hart County makes money. I mean, that's just the way things are. Farming's hard. This is an opportunity for us. I just want to get up here and share. My neighbors, you know, some of them don't like it. Some of them do like it. Talking about property values. What would you rather have? Chicken farm? Hog farm? I promise you that won't make your property good. If you ever lived around one of them, you know what I'm talking about. They reek. I have. And you know, that's their right. I get that. That's all I got. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other public comments? Anyone interested? All right, we'll give one last call, either to talk yourself out of it or to muster up the courage. But whatever you all like to do, we'll give everybody a minute just to make a decision. Okay. Well, thank you all, and I appreciate the interest, the number of folks that came up. We were talking before the meeting. We've had public comments in different matters over the years where sometimes you have a room this size that's standing room only, and sometimes you have literally 0 people show up. So regardless whether you provided comments tonight, I do appreciate you taking the time to come out. And we do want to make sure that if you still have questions about process, about the opportunity to provide public comment, about the project itself, that depending on the project or depending on the inquiry or the comment or the question, we can make sure that we provide information that you can contact the company if you have direct questions about the project, or if you have questions about the process, the remainder of the case, how to provide public comments, how to get to the Public Service Commission if you want to do it in person, whatever it is. We can either answer those questions tonight, or we can provide you information to reach out to us at a later time. I just want to remind folks about timing here. It's not an unlimited time in which you can provide written public comments. That we have a hearing set for February the 21st. That's the last time to provide public comments in person. After that, there will be a very short window that you could still provide written comments, and that those comments can be taken into account in the siting board's decision making. But probably just based off past practice, I would suspect that within about 2 weeks after the hearing, so let's call it the end of the first week of March, that the opportunity to provide public comments will close, and that's when the siting board will take the case under consideration with the record that we have, including everything the applicant has provided, everything from the hearing that we had, all the evidence there, and then all of the written and oral public comments that have been provided up to that point. So just to remind everybody one more time, this information will all be on the Public Service Commission website. The entire case record is already there, but this video and all of the written presentation, and as well as any of the all of the information that's provided in writing to the siting board, that's a public comment. So if I think it's Mr. Lawler, you provide those articles or stories if you want those when you go to the case record and look at all the information that's been filed by the applicant and all their requests that they filed and answered. There will also be a spot on there where you can click and see all the public comments that have been made. So all that will be publicly available, everything that the siting board will take under consideration. So just want to remind folks about that. It doesn't just go off into a void, it's actually in the public record. So if you all need that information, you want to see it after the hearing, today's public comment session, that you please let us know. We'll point you in the right direction that you can view that hearing. Finally, the ways to provide public comment, just remind folks, you can either send them in writing to the Public Service Commission at, well, I'm not going to read the whole address, or you can email it to the Public Service Commission. The email address is psc.comment@ky.gov. And then, of course, the information on how to provide a public comment at the hearing, either remotely or in person, will be on our website the day before the hearing. And that hearing is on February 21st. Is that right? February 21st. And that we ask whether you file a emailed, a written comment, or either through our website, that you please reference the case number so it gets to the right place. And again, that case number is 2022-115. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate you all and in the manner in which you conducted yourself.
Thank you very much for a respectful discussion.
And with that, this public comment session is closed. Thank you.